Hey, it's me, the DAV, back. Another video. This one, we're just going over, it's going to be a light video, going over an interview with Hayashi Nogami. You might know that he is the producer of Splatoon. And he sat down for a recent interview, and they talked about it. Some interesting stuff in here. Talking about the origin of Splatoon, which apparently started as just blocks. It wasn't squids from the beginning. I think at one point it was rabbits, and then eventually it became squid somehow. But in the original prototype, it was a white block versus a black block, and they actually built it out from there. It's kind of cool. Kind of starts with the basic gameplay, and then the characters are fleshed out from that point. He also mentions influence, variety of different games and trends. Though it is kind of interesting that he mentioned that he wanted to make a game that was not wanting to make a game that is too wrapped up in franchises that Nintendo has dealt with before. So he wanted, or I guess the whole concept was making something new, something that hadn't been done before. Very cool. It's often Nintendo gets criticized for reusing their IP a lot, which I mean they do. So, but it is cool that they kind of took a risk here, made a new franchise, and really made something great. So, talk about game design here a little bit. This experience with the games, something they enjoy from their games. So I guess they mentioned that he's bothering. I mean, they borrow from other games, but I can't really see anything specifically, like as far as a copy. But you're always influenced by the stuff you play. The Plaza feature is pretty cool. How they wanted to make it a jumping off point, but they populate it. People they haven't see, people that you've also seen before. You can also check out their gear, so you can get what kind of information. Maybe like copy them if they're some guy that's really good, or if he's that guy with nothing but run speed on the roller, maybe you don't want to copy him. So that was actually a really cool feature of Splatoon that was really interesting, kind of seeing other players. As much I give the lobby crap, because a lot of time it's now just Among Us memes or something ridiculous about furries or Lord knows what. It was kind of cool. I'd almost wish you'd show friends posts more than just random posts, but that's here nor there. It was a cool concept. Here they talk more about the tactical aspect of it. Looks like it's casual. One of the main aims the team had making Splatoon was making that was appealed. It was fun to play for a wide variety of players. That includes players that were familiar with the shooter genre, and also to widen the scope to players who haven't had much experience with shooters. Make sure they could also pick up the game and enjoy it. That said, it wasn't set out to make a game for people who haven't played shooters before. So this was actually aimed at, players that have played shooters. It wasn't meant to be like some super casual game. That wasn't the aim, but have a wide scope. We'll make it a game that would be satisfying for players, or used to ranking up, raising up levels, and unlocking new types of things. Said I've heard they see in the play experience and observed that people really put a lot of thought into how they are playing. So maybe before I played the offense, and this time I play more thoughtful, hang back, cover the place in ink, and that way Splatoon allows for adaptive play styles. The game is elements of a sport, and with all the thought we put into things we mentioned before, I think it will appeal to esports players. Mentioning esports, but of course Nintendo has no sort of plans for esports at the moment. Bright variables in the gear, make conquering element a more advanced player can sink their teeth into and enjoy. Supports a lot of play styles. Here is kind of interesting. They mentioned voice communication. Said in terms of communication in general, there are two main types: communication about strategy and communication about feelings. You have while playing the game at that moment. When that point is applied to the game, one interesting aspect for students is that actions take shooting ink. immediately seen a stage by you're playing by yourself and other players. Conversely, you see actions other players are taking, shooting, and you can interpret immediately and base your next actions on that, judging what that means. That's more part of gameplay in Splatoon. Kind of an interesting point. You know, if you watch where people are shooting, you can kind of see whether they're just painting an area or they're actually like in a fight with somebody. It can be, actually, you know, if you pay attention to it, you can interpret it pretty clearly what they're doing. It's paid special attention to line gameplay to cover a lot of ground for that kind of strategic communication. However, we understand that the importance players put on other types of communication that is more feelings based. It doesn't really answer too much about communication. It just says that there's a desire for that kind of communication, or the desire for players to have that kind of emotional communication. We can imagine players using some way or another to achieve an extra layer of communication while playing the game. So basically, they're going to use something else. But he doesn't specifically say anything about the communication situation. I don't think Nintendo desires to have voice communication, because I think it kind of alludes to the sort of emotional communication while they're playing the game, and I think Nintendo wants to avoid that for the most part because it can be a little over the top. Let's be honest. Anyone that's played games, you know this. See, what does Nogami favor? He said it varies up, but he's been using the 52 gal lately. Nogami confirmed for a tier war. Wow. 50, I guess maybe 52 gal ain't getting nerfed anytime soon, but very disappointed Nogami. He's clearly taking the easy road out, but you know, to each his own, I guess. I'm just joking. What advice would Nogami give to players first time? He says not really gonna ask that because he's really not that good. Essentially, there's more skilled than I, is what he says. So, but yeah, just turf the ground is what he says in Turf War. So that's it. It's kind of a short interview, but pretty cool. If you want to check out the full interview, USGamer. I'll put the link in the description too, but kind of interesting to see some of the things Nogami thinks. Obviously, Splatoon 40th anniversary. Kind of cool how it started with just some blocks shooting ink and really evolved into something else. Kind of cool to see that Nogami, or the people who designed it specifically with some depth in mind. It wasn't meant to be like a baby game, like baby's first shooter, and that shows. It definitely has a lot more complexity than I think a lot of people give it credit for, or maybe like some people that haven't played it that much kind of dismiss it because of the graphics, maybe the sort of Nintendo name. But as far as shooters goes, I think it's a very complex, very high skill ceiling I don't know if it compared to other shooters, but I think it definitely up there with other shooters as far as what you can do. So that is it for the video. Kind of a short one, but I thought it was a very interesting read. So check it out. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about this article. All right, guys, that's it for the video. See you later.